You are not broke because you're not smart enough. You are broke because you're too smart, and nobody has ever explained to you why those are the same problem. Intelligence doesn't move the ceiling. It makes the ceiling more sophisticated, better justified, harder to see through. The average person hits their income ceiling and feels the friction directly. They don't know why they're stuck. They just feel stuck. You don't feel stuck. You have a completely coherent, intellectually rigorous explanation for exactly why you're where you are, and exactly what you're going to do about it, and exactly why now isn't quite the right time to execute. That explanation is not insight. That explanation is your ceiling talking in the most sophisticated voice it has access to, yours. Here's what nobody in the financial space will say directly. Intelligence is a ceiling amplifier. It takes the same nervous system limitations that cap everyone, the same threat responses, the same calibration problems, the same subcortical patterns running below conscious awareness, and wraps them in language so convincing that the person executing them mistakes them for strategy. The average person self-sabotages visibly. You self-sabotage eloquently. And eloquent self-sabotage is the hardest kind to interrupt, because it sounds exactly like careful thinking. Here's the mechanism. 3 of them. None of them have anything to do with your IQ. Mechanism 1, intelligent justification. Mechanism 2, analysis as avoidance. Mechanism 3, sophistication as identity armor. Mechanism 1, intelligent justification. Your nervous system runs the same threat model as everyone else's. When income approaches the ceiling, when visibility expands past the comfortable threshold, when success starts to materialize at a level that exceeds the calibrated model, your system generates friction. The difference between you and someone less intelligent is not the friction. The friction is identical. The difference is what the friction gets dressed in. For someone with a less developed prefrontal cortex, the friction is obvious. They get distracted. They procrastinate visibly. They make impulsive decisions that return them to familiar. For you, the friction runs through your intelligence first. It finds the genuine risks in the opportunity. It identifies the real timing concerns. It locates the actual gaps in the preparation. It constructs an airtight case for why waiting is the rational choice. And here's what makes this almost impossible to interrupt. The case is never entirely wrong. There are always genuine risks. The timing is never perfect. The preparation could always be more thorough. Your intelligence doesn't manufacture reasons to stay small. It curates the real ones and presents them with enough logical weight that the underlying threat response stays completely invisible. You're not avoiding. You're being strategic. You're not contracting. You're being careful. You're not hitting the ceiling. You're building a stronger foundation. Every one of those framings is partially true. That's what makes the pattern so expensive. Mechanism 2, analysis as avoidance. There is a specific behavior pattern that runs in almost every intelligent person whose income is capped below their capability. They know more about their problem than anyone. They have analyzed it from every angle. They understand the psychology. They can explain the mechanism. They have read the books, watched the content, mapped the pattern with genuine intellectual precision. And the ceiling hasn't moved. Because understanding is not installation. And for intelligent people, understanding feels so much like progress that it substitutes for it. Every insight produces a dopamine signal. Every framework learned produces a feeling of forward movement. Every piece of content consumed about the gap between where you are and where you want to be produces the neurological sensation of closing that gap without closing it. Your intelligence turned consumption into a productivity substitute. And the more sophisticated your consumption, the more convincingly it mimics real progress. The more effectively it maintains the ceiling. You are not stuck because you don't understand the problem. You are stuck because understanding the problem became the way you avoid solving it. Mechanism 3, sophistication as identity armor. This is the mechanism that makes the other two almost impossible to challenge directly. Your intelligence is not just a cognitive trait. It's the core of your identity. The thing you've been since you were young enough to notice you were different. The quality that set you apart. The asset you've relied on more than any other to navigate a world that wasn't always easy to navigate. Your intelligence is you, which means any suggestion that your intelligence might be part of the problem doesn't land as intellectual feedback. It lands as an identity threat. And identity threats activate the full defensive capacity of the most sophisticated defense mechanism available to you, your intelligence, which immediately generates 17 reasons why the suggestion is flawed, which finds the genuine weaknesses in the argument, which constructs an airtight rebuttal that leaves the actual pattern completely untouched. You have been using your greatest asset to protect the ceiling it helped build, not consciously, not deliberately, but with a precision that makes external intervention almost impossible, because every challenge to the pattern gets processed through the pattern, and the pattern always wins. Here is the specific thing that separates the intelligent people who break through from the intelligent people who stay capped. It's not more intelligence. More intelligence makes the ceiling more sophisticated. It's not better information. Better information feeds the analysis loop. It's not harder work. Harder work executed beneath a nervous system ceiling just produces more sophisticated output at the same level. It's the willingness to treat the intelligence itself as a suspect, to look at the airtight justification and ask, is this strategy or is this my ceiling explaining itself to me? To look at the thorough analysis and ask, am I solving the problem or am I experiencing the neurological reward of understanding it? To look at the sophisticated identity and ask, is this who I am or is this armor I built in an environment that required it? Those questions are the hardest questions an intelligent person can ask, because they require using the intelligence to examine itself, which means temporarily surrendering the certainty that intelligence provides, which is the one thing an identity built on intelligence resists most completely.
Okay.
Here's what the architecture looks like on the other side of that surrender. First, identify where intelligence is running interference, not globally, specifically. The decision you've been analyzing for 3 months that a less intelligent person would have made in 3 days. The opportunity you've talked yourself out of with reasoning so airtight you almost can't argue with it. The move you know you should make that your intelligence keeps finding new reasons to delay. That's not strategy. That's intelligent justification running on behalf of a nervous system that hasn't been recalibrated to hold what the move would produce. Name it. Specifically, without the justification attached. The justification will regenerate automatically. Name it anyway. Second, install a pattern interrupt between insight and inaction. Your intelligence produces insights about your situation with genuine regularity. The problem isn't the quality of the insights. The problem is that insights feel like actions to an intelligent nervous system. The interrupt is simple and uncomfortable. Every insight requires a corresponding behavior within 24 hours. Not a plan to act on the insight, not a framework for how to act on the insight. A behavior. One specific, executable, uncomfortable action that moves in the direction the insight points. This collapses the gap between understanding and installation, and it forces the intelligence into the service of execution, instead of the service of sophisticated avoidance. Third, recalibrate the identity model around execution, not understanding. The intelligent person's identity is built around knowing. The ceiling breaks when the identity shifts to executing. Not executing perfectly, not executing with full information, not executing when the timing is right and the preparation is complete and the analysis confirms the move. Executing with incomplete information, imperfect timing, and genuine uncertainty. Because the nervous system has been recalibrated to tolerate the discomfort of not knowing. And the identity has been rebuilt around the evidence of action rather than the sophistication of thought. That recalibration doesn't happen through insight. It happens through 30 days of choosing execution over analysis at the exact point where analysis is most seductive. The intelligent person who breaks through their income ceiling doesn't get smarter. They get more honest about what their intelligence has been protecting. They stop mistaking eloquence for progress. They stop using the most sophisticated tool they own to maintain the most expensive limitation they have. And they start letting the intelligence do what it was always capable of, executing at a level that matches what it understands. You were never broke because you weren't smart enough. You were capped because you were smart enough to make the ceiling invisible, smart enough to justify it, smart enough to analyze it endlessly without touching it, smart enough to build an identity around understanding it. The ceiling was never your intelligence limit. It was your nervous system's tolerance limit, dressed in the most convincing language available, yours. If this landed harder than it should have, that's not an accident. Day 1 of the protocol exposes the exact point where your intelligence is running interference, the specific decision, the specific analysis loop, the specific justification your nervous system has been generating to maintain the ceiling. Most intelligent people have never had it named with that precision. They've analyzed their patterns extensively. They've never had the analysis itself identified as part of the pattern. That's why the ceiling hasn't moved. Over 30 days, you identify where intelligence is protecting the ceiling, dismantle the analysis loops substituting for execution, and recalibrate the identity from understanding to installation. Not more information for an already overfull mind. Architectural recalibration. Your intelligence has never been aimed at before. And here's the thing. You're going to leave this video and think about it. You're going to find the genuine reasons the timing isn't right. You're going to construct an airtight case for why you need more information before you decide. You already know what that pattern produces. You've watched it produce it for years. If you want the intelligence to finally execute at the level it understands, the architecture is in my bio. It's the only place I'm giving it. Calibration.